Okay, here we have our fragmented habitat, which shows what happens when you take an environment and you cut it up into smaller pieces, all right? There's a very important biological principle being demonstrated here. You guys need to figure out what's going on. But there is one thing that you need to know is that, it's much better if you have hard data, and by hard data I mean numbers to back up what your conclusions are, all right? Most people, I think that, well, chemistry and physics and all those things are numbers kind of sciences, but biology isn't. Well, unfortunately, if you don't like math, biology does have and require a certain amount of numerical data. So one of the things you could do is you could count everything here and go for certain numbers of minutes and count everything to figure out, you know, how many reds, how many greens, how many blues you have at so many time things. And you could do that. However, there is an easier way, and I want to show it to you. Now, one of the things with StarLogo, there's this over here, which is called StarLogo blocks, and this is where actually all the calculations and all the math is done. Like under the setup, you can see that it's given a set of instructions. Clear everybody, then create 100 flowers, then create 10 predators, and then scatter them. And this tells you how they're going to interact. You know, the flowers reproduce, and this little block, which is called the procedure, will explain how the flowers reproduce. But what we want to do is we want to keep track of how many of each type of organism we have at every time. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in a count procedure. Now the easiest way of doing this, all right, and this is what I want you to do, is the easiest way of getting the boxes is you could actually click on these different draws, which slide out, and figure it out this way. But that's not what I'm going to suggest that you do. We're going to do it the easier way. We're going to just type in the word count. And what we want to do is it gives us a couple options. Do we want to count everybody? Nope. We want to count flowers? Well, we want to count particular flowers. So we want to count flowers with. All right? And that gives us a condition. Now, the condition that we're looking for is a color. All right? So we're going to look at, okay, the count it thing. And what we do is we just don't want the color. We want how many equal that color. So that's actually a math thing. And if you click on the little math drawer, you'll notice this little guy pops out that has the equal sign. All right? And it's count if the color, I type in color and it goes snapping in. You actually have to click and drag that so this snaps into the blue. You may hear that little click. If the color equals red, okay, we're going to put that in. However, there is another thing that I actually just discovered as I was presenting this tutorial. You see where it says condition? All right. When we count that condition, all right, we're going to want this to go on a graph. All right. So what I need to do is I'm going to type in the word graph. And you'll notice I have two options of graphs. I'm going to go with a line graph, which is important. All right. And I'm just going to drag it here. Now, the important thing under data, I'm going to change the word under data. I'm going to click on that word data and I type in red. Now, StarLogo, like most computer programs, is designed to help out people who are lazy. I do want you to see something before I actually go into the next part. We're going to go back to Spaceland, and what do you know? There's a little box here now. Okay, all these red guys always wind up showing up here. So I'm going to hit forever, and I want you to watch what happens. It's graphing the number of red flowers. And you notice that the red flowers jump up and down, and then as they're getting wiped out over here in the thing, it finally bottoms out. Boom. Perfect. All right? But I don't want to just graph the red flowers. I want to graph everybody to see what happens to them. Okay? So, and again, you can make a decision on who you actually want to graph yourself. But I'm going to go back to the setup page. And I am very, very lazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click where it says on this purple bar. I'm going to go Control C, Control V. And I'm also going to count the color equals. And if I click on the green, the button red, there's a little drag down thing. I'm going to count everybody who's green as well. All right? And I'm going to change the word where it says data to green. All right? And I can do this thing over and over again. I can Control C, and I actually could have a map of every color that they offer. Okay, I could have a map of the blue. All right? And again, Control C, Control V. Let's map the cyan. Okay? Control C, Control V. And I'm actually not going to map every single color. We're just going to map these. Let's go with lime as well. And, oh, what the heck with this for our Control C, There we go. And let's see, what are the major colors? Cyan, gray, green. I think I haven't done magenta yet, so we'll do that. All right, you understand how this now works. Okay, let's go back to Spaceland. I'm going to run setup, and then I'm going to run the forever button, and you can see the lines being drawn. Now, one of the things, if you click on the line draft, and this is really cool, it expands so that you can actually watch what's going on. Now, unfortunately, it seems in this case, I wiped out all the flowers. Didn't even know that was possible. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to hit stop. I'm going to hit forever again. Wait a minute, I'm going to hit setup and watch what happens again. Now, what should happen, and I'm going to actually drag that. What should happen is, I think because I had it at full speed, the guys were reproducing before they had a chance. If you notice here, what's happening is the bears were eating them so fast that they didn't get a chance to reproduce. If you look at what's happening now, you'll see that the number of green is going up and down. All of the other guys who weren't green and red got wiped out immediately, and now it's just a competition, a numbers game between the red and the green, and what do you know, the green appears to be winning again. Again, we have that fragmented habitat. Why do you think that they work? It's so easy to wipe out the guys in the fragmented habitat. All right. And you notice that this actually tells you, it gives you the line color, and it tells you what you're getting. And we now have everything wiped out. So I'm just going to pause this, and I'm going to go back to my line graph. And there are a couple options. If I click Save Image, it's going to save it as a bump map, which you'll be able to post in, say, a PowerPoint presentation or a term paper, something like that. If you hit clear, it will wipe everything out so you can start it again. And then my personal favorite, all right, is this guy, the Save Data button. One of the things you could do is you could actually say, okay, you could actually follow the numbers across and say, okay, well, at this point at 12.750 seconds, there were 26. That's hard work. You actually have to read the graph. Instead, you can click Save Data, and it does something that I love. We're going to call this Data, or some other similar name, and it's Save. And it will save the data as a CSV file. Okay? Okay, I paused the document so that you'd be able to, you wouldn't have to sit here. But if you take a look at this, all right, at the initial time, you notice that, you know, data point 1, data point 2, data point 3, there's like 8, 7, 6, all right, and watch what happens as you go forward in time. They start getting wiped out, okay? Now you start having certain groups that are no longer represented. You go a little bit further down, and you notice that there's only a couple of groups still red. The 8 would represent the green, and probably the 6 is the red. Oh, actually, no, it's the opposite. The 6 is the green, and the 8 is the red. And as you finally get down here, you discover that almost everything has been replaced by green guys, and eventually you reach the point where the only one represented are the green. All right? So that actually shows numerically what is happening. All right, so this is a good way you can use StarLogo to gather numerical data about a biological process. You guys are actually able to run an experiment on evolution, and one of your assignments is probably going to be to redesign habitats and see if you can have habitats that mimic other kinds of evolution. All right, that's it for this lesson on StarLogo.